we are in war, in the south and the north.
It's a lose-lose situation, this whole war.
Nothing is obvious anymore. Not even the state of Israel.
That's me, Kai Steinecke, in the summer of 2023. A German guy from Berlin on his first ever visit to Israel. Just a few months before the Hamas terror attack on October 7th. My colleague Shani Daphne Goldstein is a presenter in Tel Aviv and took me on a tour of her city. In a multi-part series, we were hoping to showcase Tel Aviv's lifestyle, exploring its seemingly carefree nightlife, its fascinating food, art and culture, and learning about queer life in the city. I sensed great freedom here at the time. Tel Aviv, with its lifestyle full of pleasures, was one of the best cities in the world to party, known as the capital of cool. On our trip, we got to know some fascinating people. A year later, after the Hamas attack and during the war, we went back to visit them.
At the beginning, I thought it was the wind whistling.
Thousands of rockets were shot to Tel Aviv, to the south, all over the place.
My friend, who is also a survivor of terrorism, called me in the morning and she basically said, "Wake up, we're under attack." That's what she said, and she hung up. And I was like, what?
I was just pacing around here on the carpet, back and forth, and I was saying, what's going on? How can this be? How can this be? Where is the military? Where's the military? Where's the police? What's going on? What's going on?
We all remember where we were on that Saturday when the sirens started. It's weird to say, but we keep saying it came out of nowhere, as if it's not a war zone all the time, as if we don't have shelters, it's as if we... But in a way, it came as a surprise.
I woke up to, a different world for me. So since then, everything changed.
Everything changed? At first glance, Tel Aviv looks exactly the same as it did on my first visit. But one thing stands out. All over the city, there are posters with the words "Bring them home" and photos of the hostages. I wanted to know, how has Tel Aviv changed since October 7th? And what are people's expectations of the future? To begin, I visit Shani.
I'm Shani Daphne Goldstein. I'm 33 years old, from Tel Aviv, a radio anchor, a model, and a TV host.
It's the first time we've seen each other since the Hamas terror attack.
No see.
Too long. I think it's been a year
Roundabout.
since I last seen you.
Yes. And you got a kitten.
I think of a razor.
Oh, sorry, taking your spot.
Boy, Anastasia, you can come sit with us.
How have you been?
It looks like Tel Aviv is fine. It's not fine. If I'm reading on the paper that people died or soldiers died or people lost their homes, the fact that I'm fine is still not fine. The biggest thing is that I have lost also 2 friends in the Nova party.
Take me through October 7th for you.
We were downstairs in my mom's shelter for a few hours, and the late morning, the news started to screen what's really happening in kibbutz. And I remember it's like the phone calls of children and people to their parents to say, I love you for the last time. And now we're being blamed for committing a genocide. It's absurd. It's absurd, and I think it changed me as a person because I used to be more compassionate.
In 2023, I met Mohamed Zouabi, a queer activist full of energy. We talked about his Arab Muslim family. Something I also learned from him is that Tel Aviv is an island of queer freedom, even within Israel.
So as far as I understand, the relationship between Israelis and Arabs is like not the best one. How is it being a queer person in Tel Aviv? Does that affect it in any way?
I would prefer to use the term maybe Israelis and Palestinians. I've lived my entire life in, mixed places, Muslims, Jews, Christians. Sounds very cliche, but everybody lived together. Even if there are tensions and it really comes and goes, you feel it less here. I'm not gonna sugarcoat the experiences of Arabs here. There is racism, there is discrimination. My name is Mohamed Zouabi, I'm 26 years old. I'm from Nazareth originally. Nazareth is the largest Arab city in Israel. I live in Tel Aviv. I am a freelance writer and speaker. I'm also a student. I study government and sustainability. My lifestyle, my existence is a potential crime. My words, my mouth is my weapon. Other people use rifles, use bombs, use missiles, use, F-16s, use whatever. And I think this understanding is very reflective of the community that I come from. We're a community that was part of a consistent Arab majority that existed here for at least 1,000 years. That's also another historical fact that needs to be recognized. And in 1948, out of the blue, like this, we were turned into a minority in our own homeland. I try to remind myself that if we're being called delusional for wanting to present a pragmatic alternative that is based on justice, on mutual recognition and reconciliation/peace, then what do you call messianic visions that have been ruling Israel for the last decades and think that we can just ignore 7 million Palestinians forever, we can continue to occupy them, we can continue to oppress them, and we can continue to just blame Hamas for every single thing without taking in consideration the fact that this is a shared homeland and Israeli and Palestinian interests are intertwined. And if Palestinians continue to suffer, Israelis will suffer.
Today, the space in front of the Tel Aviv Museum of Art is known as Hostages Square. It's a place to remember the more than 250 people taken hostage during the Hamas terror attack on Israel on October 7th in 2023.
So this is Idan. He's my friend from school. He drove to the Nova Festival. Everyone in that car that he joined were found dead. They were shot. And he was kidnapped, injured. He was considered missing for, I think, at least 50 days. We didn't know if he was, dead and still unidentified, like the body. He's just snatched out of the blue on one day. I mean, honestly, I would expect every human being with a soul, with the least amount of humanity that's left in them, to feel torn apart.
Kai take a good look around and tell me what you can see.
Okay. So over here, I see a couple of towers, a couple of old walls. Everything looks quite ancient. And over there, you have the skyscrapers and everything. Everything looks brand new. Morning.
How are you? Hello.
Hi, so good to meet you. Hi.
Welcome to Kiryat HaMelacha. This has been actually my life mission for the past 4.5 years.
Last year, we met the successful curator Revital Ben-Asher Peretz. We were impressed by her efforts to promote diversity and tolerance in Tel Aviv.
My name is Revital Ben-Asher Peretz. I'm the mayor's advisor for art and culture. I'm also in the Artists Association in charge of policies regarding rights of artists in Israel. For flea markets.
She decides our
Thank you.
vacations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It's very good.
We are a special family. The father cooks, the mother keeps her last name.
Ah, okay.
That's true. I can definitely say that I'm a career woman. And I think after October 7th, first of all, I became a mother. Here are the three of you. Omer. Go this way. This is Ruth's bat mitzvah.
Yeah, it was on the gag, no? In the
Yeah.
studio gag.
The first instinct was just to hold my husband and my 3 children. And then my daughter was a soldier. She got a call from the military that she should come instantly on that Saturday. And I just wanted to lock her in her room. And I was really serious about it. I said, I'm not sending her to this crazy war zone with such a chaos. At the beginning, she was on Gaza Strip, and there were terrorists coming into the area she was in. A 20-year-old girl is responsible for the death of people because, you know, whenever the drone detected some live action, whether it was a dog or whether there were people, women and children, the instruction was to shoot down any live movements inside of Gaza in the beginning, in the first month that the platoons went in. When she comes home, she goes to parties, she does her nail polish, and she goes and buys clothes, and she's a young 20-year-old girl. And this is the age of all our children and soldiers protecting our whole country. Children. The first time she came back from Gaza, it was really concerning how quiet she was.
I remember this shirt.
She was sort of in shock, I guess. Her eyes were blank. Her eyes were hollow. Yeah, sort of hollowness in her eyes. She kept it all bottled inside.
Nightlife in Tel Aviv. It's like dancing on a volcano.
Lovely places, really liking the vibe, but I mean, when you read the news, going out here, the missiles, isn't it dangerous?
Well, unfortunately, you have violence all over the world. And yes, Israel still suffers from terror attacks. Even myself, one time, was watching from above on a terror attack on Dizengoff Street. I saw everything from upstairs. There was a mass shooting on this night. It's very sad and heartbreaking to say it, but it's a part of our lives.
I feel like my dreams and naivety has been shattered.
We love everyone who loves the music. We just don't talk about this stuff here. We just enjoy together, enjoy the music, celebrate the music. And it's all about that. When we come here, we don't care about the politics. Israeli Arabs, Muslim Arabs, Christian Arabs, Jews. It's crazy. My name is Dov Spaner. I'm 32 years old. I own a club in Tel Aviv, and I own a company that manages hip-hop artists in Israel. Friends of mine that at the morning of October 7th, they jumped to the south to fight, and I didn't see them for a month and a half. And you know, when they come back, you see ghosts. You see their faces like ghosts. I don't know if they party different, but I believe what's going on inside is different. Many men in Israel now is dealing with traumas of they didn't want to deal with. It's just crystal clear.
One noticeable change is that people are drinking more. Since October 7th, alcohol consumption in Israel has surged. The rate was pretty low before. I read that since the war began, 1 in every 4 Israelis have increased their use of addictive substances like alcohol and other drugs. Tel Aviv was and still is one of the most expensive cities in the world. Property prices are especially high. Back in 2023, architect Shiraz Solomon showed us one of the luxury houses she renovated.
So I totally like the place. How deep would I need to dig in my pockets to actually rent it?
Ooh, very deep, I'm afraid. Very deep. And to be very nice to your banker, and will be around, I'll tell you in shekels, around the 60,000 shekels per month.
60,000 shekels per month?
It's a lot, I told you.
My name is Shiraz Solomon. I'm an architect, and I live in Tel Aviv. I'm based in Tel Aviv. I was born in Tehran, Iran. We left Iran after the Islamic Revolution. People are less concerned with the design of their house and more of the safety. It's just less poetic work right now and more of survival mode.
Tel Aviv also has an economic problem. Since the attack, more than 150,000 Palestinian laborers can no longer enter Israel from the West Bank or Gaza Strip, leaving a gaping hole in the construction industry in particular. For Shiraz Solomon and her building contractor Bassem Fagala, this means many construction sites are at a standstill.
בכלל, בכללי, חוסר ביטחון, עבודים, לא יודעים מה יהיה ומה העתיד. ופחד מה יקרה פה בארץ. אם אני לא מאמין באנשים, אין לי קיום פה.
He's a spiritual person, he's a Muslim, he believes in God, he's doing everything according to the Quran, and I'm the opposite. I'm doing everything to make him upset. But Bassem forgives me. If Bassem forgives me, then who is God, you know? I can deal with him. And we're just very good friends. If someone looks at Israel and tries to understand it in black and white, they will fail. There's no black and white here. It's all shades of gray. It's very complicated. And when you're asking me about my work relationships with Arabs, we need also to understand that there are Israeli Arabs who are, like me, citizens of this country, but are Muslim or Christian, and there are the Palestinians. They're not citizens of Israel. They live in the occupied territories or in Gaza. My heart breaks for what happened to the Palestinians in Gaza. I know that many Israelis don't share this feeling, and I understand it. I really do. I mean, it's hard to feel for the other side when you're still trying to understand if you're alive.
I see public shelters all over the city. Tel Aviv could come under attack at any time, so shelters need to be easily accessible. People only get 90 seconds warning.
We have a history with bomb shelters in Israel. The first ones, I think, were built in the 50s. But every few years, there is a new regulation. It's according to the missiles that we get here. This is the only thing that can save lives here in Israel. And people take it very seriously now.
So this would be your usual way, basically, when you...
To the shelter?
Yeah.
Yes, from here.
Yeah.
I have a minute and a half to run to the shelter. And a few times I just ran to the shelter with a towel and all of the shampoo.
Oh, wow, yeah.
On my hair. And, but we really run like crazy. And I know the code. And that's where we go. We go inside here to a staircase. That is our shelter and our safe place. The whole neighborhood, maybe 20 or 30 people.
Here?
Yeah, right here. And we stand here for 10 minutes. And we hear all the bombs on top, above. You hear them really, really strong.
Tel Aviv rocks, baby.
The food in Tel Aviv is totally delicious. The city is famous for its street food, flavored by culinary influences from the whole region. On the plate, hummus and shakshuka peacefully coexist. And then there was Mr. Burika.
Burika metai! Ala burika, burika, burika!
This place is absolutely insane. That looks amazing.
Ala burika, burika, burika!
I'm Kobi Shmuel. I'm 38 years old, and I work in Burika in the Carmel Market. I'm selling happiness. I'm selling happy. And I continue. And people want that happiness.
שלוש, פילס ב10. כן. כן, דבר. לא, ביט. ביט, סבבה? אז אני רוצה... זה פיתה או לא?
I put tefillin. Every Jewish need to do it every day, morning. Every day except Shabbat. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. You can ask from God, what do you want? So I ask what I want, all the kind of all the soldiers, to keep the soldiers healthy for me, for my family, every day.
The jovial Kobi Shmuel had to serve in the war for 3 months. He was called up for reservist duty on October 7th.
They send everybody Tzav Shmone. You need to come to the army. You know, I'm with 3 children. The last time I do army, it's something like 7 years ago. What do you want from me? I'm not a warrior now. Now I'm fat. What do you want from me? But the feeling inside, you cannot, don't go. So you go. I was like a sergeant. I need to take care for all the soldiers, the warrior, to take care for the food, for the stuff. My soldiers go inside and outside in Gaza. Every evening I go to do burika for soldiers.
עושים בוריקה ללוחמי גולני. השמש יצא? בוריקה יפצע! היידה! פיטרית, השמש יצא? בוריקה יפצע! השמש יצא? בוריקה יפצע! היידה!
I remember 1 week I do something like 6 times burika in different places. I make between 15,000 to 20,000 burikas. That's what we do.
שלוש פינס ב10.
I told you, I take care for all the soldiers' need. And after 3 weeks, my commander tell me we start to send the soldiers to home to see their families and mothers and wife. And I want every soldier come with some present for the family. I go and I get the roses, but not one. זר, איך אומרים זר? 100 pieces. And I get it in this morning, and the roses go to the Bet Kvarot, to the cemetery, not for the families.
Gaga dance is a movement language that was developed here in Tel Aviv at the Batsheva Dance Company. Among other things, Gaga aims to stimulate and strengthen the body with all the senses. The young dancers here were also doing their military service. Leanne Reiser continued to rehearse and train while serving as a soldier.
Down and stretch to the side.
Back then, she showed me a few Gaga moves.
My name is Leanne Reiser. I'm 20. I'm from Tel Aviv, and I'm a dancer with Ensemble Batsheva. All my friends from school that been in class with me are now in the army. Those are the ages. So I'm constantly worrying. My boyfriend, everyone is part of it. I feel no one here has no connection at all. I really feel doing art is helping me specifically, helping also people in my company and helping the audience a bit, some kind of distraction, but also not, also putting it like this. So it's really make you question what is the meaning of what you are doing? What is the meaning of dancing now? What is the meaning of performing now? And the way we perform and the way we serve art to an audience now. Good art make you question.
I think art is a means of communication. It's an excuse. It's an excuse to bring people together, to express yourself. I live art. I live and breathe art. Art also, I think, means life. It's a means of life, of vitality. Being creative is being alive.
This is eggplants and tomatoes, plant-based, 3D printed meat. So I want you guys to try it.
Oh my God. I'm gonna make you vegan. An eggplant-loving vegan.
No, but it tastes really meaty. I'm actually surprised.
Have the right consistency.
In a 3D technology,
I met Michal Levit, a creative food expert. Shortly after the start of the war against Hamas, many people donated food for the victims. Michal was dismayed when she saw how poorly organized the distribution was, and that donated food was being wasted.
My name is Michal Levit. I am a gastronome. I work with food, culture, sustainability, people, and that's it. Here in Israel, there was a big problem because, A, a lot of food just went to waste because there was no one to organize everything. And B, people were really scared because what's going to happen with the fact that there are no farmers anymore, not in the south and not in the north? What's going to happen with our food security in Israel? There's no thinking ahead in the state of Israel. I met the Palestinian group of slow food. And we really, I really tried. I would just I was there all day, let's talk. It's hard for them, and I really understand this. It's a big challenge to communicate with Palestinians as an Israeli. And the more the gap is getting stronger, the conflict is getting stronger, the more the gap is getting deeper. And it's difficult. I still believe that food is a way of getting people together. If we can share heritage, if we can share this space, this place, then it would be really nice to have hummus together, you know? I mean, we have hummus here, made by Palestinians from Jaffa.
Can food really be a way to promote understanding? And if so, how do we get everyone back to the table?
Pretty common sport. The conflict surrounds us. It's in everything that we do. It's in our swimming pool, and it's in our food, and it's in our institutions, and the conflict is everywhere. If I'm thinking of it or not, it's there. I usually come here between 3 and 5 times a week. It's a way to keep sanity in this really insane place. One of the most annoying frontiers is the left-wing, the world left-wing people, who are like leaving us alone and calling me an occupier and shouting and chanting from the river to the sea as if my parents didn't come here to find a safe place because the world didn't let any other place to the Jewish people. What they're saying is like, yeah, you don't have any right to be there, so you cannot say anything. And that makes me feel very, very bad and scared and alone and isolated.
We do see a lot of Jews from all over the world. It sounds weird, I know, but there is a movement of people in diaspora, Jews that are looking to find their new house in Israel. They feel unsafe anywhere else. Not that they feel very safe here, but it's complicated, it is.
Tel Aviv and the people I revisited here have changed dramatically since October 7th, 2023. But what's next? Is there a solution to the conflict or any vision for the future?
This is a conflict that much more smarter people and educated people than me have been trying to solve for at least a century, and they failed so far. Can I show you something that I drew? This is actually funny, but I'm a geography freak. On the very first days after October 7th, I drew this map. And this is basically a map of the region from the river to the sea, like what is known as Israel-Palestine. And this is kind of my proposal to a two-state solution. If we go by my plan, Gaza would get more coast area. And this area here in the Mediterranean is very, very rich with gas, natural gas. This area, Gaza, which is today like an apocalypse, can in less than 10 years become the Singapore of the region.
I am protesting for pre-Palestine for the last 15 years, even more. I am protesting to end the occupation and for a Palestinian state. Two-state solutions, we call it.
We need to bring the freedom, and we need to bring the mixed cultured and the peace together.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the wind is traveling to a very nice place for Jews outside of Israel. So it's not like I'm gonna find myself in New York living La Vida Loca, because I don't know what's gonna happen and who's gonna save me then.
It's not that I have any other passport or any other country that would have me, or that I would feel at home. This is my home.
I think no one wants war. No one wants conflict. I hope, at least. I have hope in humanity.
I cling to hope. Right now, if I'm honest, hope is a bit elusive. It's a vague concept. Listen, there's not much that I can do except of clinging to hope.
Not in my lifetime. You know, talking about peace. No. Wow. Yeah, I've lost hope for peace. I don't think Jews and Arabs can coexist.
I have hope. יש לי תקווה, כי אני בן אדם מאמין, ואני מאמין שבסוף באמת יהיה טוב. אני מאמין שייקח לזה עוד הרבה זמן, אבל כן, יש בי תקווה.
My voice is a voice of hope. And I don't want to say reconciliation because I don't think we are there. Not us, and of course also not the Palestinians. But our voice is a voice that says we must end this war. We must end this conflict. We are here because we want to live here, and no one from both sides is not going anywhere. So we're going to make this place a paradise. This is what we're gonna do.